Good morning, students. Good morning, all of you. So today we're gonna start our next chapter, that is electric current, and these are the topic which we discuss in this chapter. Electric current, the components of electric current, circuit diagram, heating effect of electric current, fuse, MCB, magnetic effect of electric current, and all. Fuse and electric bell also. So when we talk of electric current, what is something that you can really easily relate to? So it comes to electricity, what comes to your mind instantly? I will give you an example which we experience in a way to today's life. Okay, so the most easy example is the light. Okay, so when you turn the switch on, the bulb glows and you are able to see each and everything which is there. Sometimes there is a power cut and what happens? Everything turns dark and you are not able to see anything that is there. Why? Because there is no light. Now when I say that bulb is glowing, what do we mean? That there is electricity. That's how we say, okay? There is a electricity. There is a power cut. That's why we can't see anything. Okay? Now again, when the power is back, electric current is flowing, so you have your lights on. So that is something where we use the term current in our day-to-day life. I am very sure that in this scenario we all use the term current, but in this lesson we are going to understand what exactly an electric current is. What do we mean by electric current? And what are the various properties and effects of the electric current? So that is going to be our agenda in this lesson. Now before we go ahead, let us look at some of the important application of electric current. So as I mentioned, switching on the bulb glows. But do you know what happens when we switch it on? When we switch it on, basically the current flows through a circuit. And due to the flow of current, the bulb glows. Okay. Now we will see through a diagram. But this is one place, this is the one instance where electricity play an important role. Now think of this situation where you have an open socket like this, and if by mistake you try to go near and you touch it, what happens? You experience an electric shock. So why do you experience electric shock? Because of electric current. Similarly, you think of devices like a camera, the battery, one of the most important example. So do you know how battery work? You would have seen a lot of devices starting from torches to computers to your cell phone. All of them have a cell or a battery inside it. Okay, so these batteries, what do? They generate electric current, they produce electricity. So they have a setup inside due to which electricity get generate. Okay, so batteries are very important stuff, and in a way battery are brought about a revolution in the modern technology. You think of your computer, you think of a fan, ceiling fan. When you switch it on, it gets on, the fan moves. That's because of current flow in the fan. You think of television, the transistor, the mobile phone. So all of them make use of things where electric current plays an important role. So now let's look at very common scenario. What would happen if by mistake you touch a wire which is naked and carrying a current, and wire is not covered, and it is not coated with some other material? Now what can happen if you try to touch it? It can be extremely dangerous. Obviously you experience electric shock, and sometimes it can be more severe that it can it's very dangerous. Similarly, I'm very sure if you have ever been to platform, you would have seen that a bird sitting on a wire, the telephone wires, and the birds sitting over this. And a lot of times a very common scene from the railway platform is that sometimes the birds are found dead. Okay, Now the moment when it is carrying current, at that point of time, a very common scene which is seen from the railway station and platform is that sometimes these birds, they are seem dead. Do you know why? Because the electric shock they experience. Now whether we talk about touching the naked wire or we talk about these birds sitting on the wire carrying current, so they are dangerous because they can give electric shock, and this electric shock is due to the electric current which is flowing through the wire. Now the electric shock can be very dangerous and it can be even kill an organism. So here also you see that electric current is a very important thing. So now we are all set to know what is electric current. So that is what we have been talking about since long. I have been giving you examples, so it's showing where electric current is flow. So let us understand what is it. So flow of electric charge constitute the electric current. Now the question is, what do we mean by electric charge? What are electric charges? So these are nothing but particles, and the particles are negatively charged, and these negatively charged particles are termed as electrons. So basically the movement of these electrons result in electric current. So how better can we understand this? In order to understand this concept, let us assume that electrons are nothing but they are like balls, they are like particles. So we can say that electric current is measured as rate of flow of charge. As I said, charge is nothing but electrons, and these electrons can be assumed as particles. So how fast these particles are moving, that determine how much current is there. Okay. So basically how fast or how slow the charge is flowing, that determine how much is the electric current. So the unit to measure the electric current is ampere, which is normally denoted as a capital A, and that's how we will define the amount of current as 5 amperes, 10 amperes, 20 ampere or so on. So now when we look at this circuit, there is a bulb which is tied to a battery. This is a battery or a cell, and there is a switch. So let us say this is a switch, and this is how you might be amazed to look at this kind of diagram. But basically these are the ways to represent the switch and a battery or a cell. So this is how we represent an electric circuit. So we will learn about it a little later. But as we switch it on, what happens? This entire circuit is complete, and that's a result. Electric current will flow through the circuit. And when electric current flows through the circuit, this makes the bulb glow. And that is why the bulb glow. Now let us try to understand this concept of charges flowing from one place to another by considering at a simple scenario. Let us say these charges, which are actually electrons, let us assume that they are as a balls, because there are particles which are extremely tiny, so they cannot be seen. They can only be seen by powerful electron microscope. Okay, so let's say these are the balls and these are nothing but the electrons. Now these balls, as they move, okay, the second also move, the third also move, and so on. So these process of movement continue. As a ball move, the rate of the movement, how fast they are moving, that determines the current. Okay, so the electrons are like these balls. Whenever these balls stop moving, the current is zero. So current is determined by the movement of these balls. So now let us talk a bit more about electrons, because they play a leading role in the concept of current. So before we talk about electrons, let's see it from where it come into the picture. So anything which we see around us, a cat, a sofa set, window, whatever we see around us, what are they? They are nothing but a matter. Whether it is a living organism or it is a non-living organism, everything which we see around us is a matter. anything which we see around us is a matter. So matter is something which occupies some space. For example, if you look at this chair occupies some space, even though the chair is a non-living object. Similarly, when you look at the cat, it occupies some space. This is a living object. Okay, so all of these are example of matter. So when you see what is matter, we see that a matter is made up of molecules. Let us take some example of molecule. For example, let's say water. Water is a molecule. So one molecule of water, several molecules of water might result in a good amount of water. So basically the molecules of what H2O, molecules of water is H2O. This big ball is O and the smaller balls are the hydrogen, the 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen. That's H2O. Similarly, you have different types of molecules like maybe methane, ethane and all. Now when you look at the composition of the molecules, you see that the molecules are made up of atom. So each molecules, here you have, when you think about the water molecule, you see that the water molecule in terms are made up of atom. That means hydrogen and oxygen. These are the atoms of which the molecule are made. And finally, when you look at the composition of the atom, you see that atom is made up of 3 types of particles, and those 3 types of particles are proton, neutron and electron. So these are the 3 types of particles which form. So when you look at the structure, there is a central core which is positively charged and it is called nucleus, and it is contain 2 particles, proton and neutron. Proton are positively charged particle and neutrons are neutral. Therefore the net charge of the core or the net charge is positive, whereas electrons are negatively charged particle and they revolve in this orbit. So if you compare the 3 particles, so out of these 3, only one is mobile. Only one is capable of moving from one place to another, and that is electron. As you can see here that electron is moving around the nucleus. And this movement results in electric current. So the concept of electric current is very similar to the concept of water current. So when we talk about water current, it is nothing but the flow of water. So when water flows at a very high speed, the current is termed as water current. So now we are going to talk about the direction of flow of electric current. So we saw that electric current is nothing but the flow of electrons. So now the question is, how do we know that which is the direction of electric current? Now you might think that that's going to be quite obvious because the direction in which the electrons are flowing. But what happened was, there happened some confusion with regards to the direction of electric current. Before the electrons were discovered, that time, the scientists thought that the flow of charges which constitute current, those charges are not electrons but protons. Because that time electrons were not at all discovered. So they thought that since there are some charges flowing, so these charges could be protons. Now what are protons? We discussed in the previous where I have told you that it is a neutral part. Now the direction of electric current is going to be the direction of flow of proton, they thought. But later when electrons were discovered, it was found that it was not the protons but whether it is electrons which constitute the electric current. So basically now we have 2 different methods of determining the direction of electric current. So one was the conventional method or which people got to use to since long time. So that current is termed as conventional current. So as per conventional current, it was assumed that protons are the charges which constitute the electric current, and therefore the direction of electric current would be from the positive terminal towards the negative terminal of the cell or the battery. So basically, so when you look at the circuit, you will have a battery, and if you ever observe, you will see the plus and a minus sign of the battery, which denote the positive and the negative terminal of the battery. So now since we have this, the electric current is because of proton, as we say in the conventional current, that means positive charge particle will come out from the positive end. That means the direction of electric current or a conventional current from positive towards the negative terminal. On the contrary, when we talk about electronic current, so here the direction of current would be just the opposite, that is from negative to positive. Because in this case, we are assuming that the electrons are the carriers of current. Now, if you ask about which one is right, so basically the later concept which came, that was correct, because actually these are the electron which constitute the current, not the proton. And the later concept was correct. It was not the proton, but since the method of conventional current was being followed since long time, therefore in order to avoid any confusion, conventional current direction is followed. And that is why whenever you will see that we draw a circuit, then we have to mention, okay, current flow from positive to negative terminal. Okay. So please understand this, that doesn't mean that protons are flowing. Basically the current is the flow of electrons, but just to follow the conventional, it is always said the current flow from positive terminal of the battery towards the negative terminal in a circuit. And so that is the confusion in the direction of electric current, and that is why we have discussed it. Okay. Now let us talk about some more important things. So everywhere till now I have been showing you a circuit where you see that there is a switch, there is a battery, there is a bulb. As soon as the switch is on, the bulb glows. So the question is, when exactly the bulb glow? So you might say that when we put the switch on. But what happens when we put the switch on? The bulb glow when the circuit is complete. Now what do I mean by circuit is complete? So let us have a look at this. This is how the circuit looks where the switch is off. So this is the switch. Right now the bulb is not glowing and the switch is off. What happens? As soon as we switch it on, the bulb glows. Now do you understand something what happened when we switch it on? As soon as we switch it on, the circuit became complete, and everywhere you can see this line. That means there is a path where the electrons to flow. Only when the electron will flow, the current will be flowing through the circuit. Now if the electrons stop flowing, what will happen? There will be no current, and if there is no current, the bulb will not grow. So it is as simple as that. So electrons are nothing but those balls. So balls need to be moved. If the ball stops moving, there is no current. Now when the switch is open, when it is off, in that case there is a break in the path here. So once the electric reaches here, electron, they are not able to move further. Okay. They stop there. So there is no current through the circuit and the bulb doesn't glow. Understood? So when I switch it on, the bulb glow, circuit is complete. Now pictorial representation of electric circuit. It is understanding by everyone because here we are using symbol which have a specific meaning. The second thing, it is more convenient. If I ask you to draw a real bulb, that is going to be more complex because not everybody is good at drawing. Even I am also not. So drawn using conventional symbols of different circuit elements. Now what are circuit elements? The various components which are present in a circuit. For example, the bulb, the battery, the switch. So these are the circuit elements. Now it is very important that we use the correct symbol for each of the elements. So let us look at the conventional circuit, the real circuit. This is how it looks. But when you draw a circuit diagram for the same circuit, this is how it's going to be. So where instead of the battery, you use this symbol. Instead of the key, you use this symbol. And you have a bulb. Now let us quickly look at the symbols for a circuit diagram. So let us look at some of the important circuit elements like wire. It would be wire because it helps us to connect different elements like battery, bulb, and etc. Second is cell, another important thing because it is the source of electricity. It generates electricity. Battery. What is battery? It is nothing but a combination of cell. Another important thing is switch. Now the switch, when it is off in condition and when it is in on condition. For each of these we have a specific symbol. So let us quickly look at the symbols which are used in circuit diagram. So for wire we just use a straight line. For a cell we use two lines, two vertical lines. And we make sure that one line is longer than the other one. The longer represent the positive terminal and the smaller represent the negative terminal. Now it is very important to differentiate between the positive and the negative terminal of the cell. That's because when we talk about the flow of the electric current, as I said, the conventional current, the direction will be from positive to negative terminal. So it becomes important to know which one is positive and which one is negative. When it comes to battery, since it is a combination of cells, therefore a lot of cells put together forms a battery. Now the switch, which is also called a key in a circuit, which is used for switch. When the switch is off, this is the off mode. This is also known as, we also say that the key is open. As you can see, it is open here, and this circuit would be known as open circuit because it is not complete. When the switch is on, the complete path is created, and in this case we say that the key is closed. So like switch off is equivalent to open key, switch off on is equivalent to closed key. That's how it is. So these are the basic symbols and we need to remember these symbols. So this is the simple circuit diagram. So where it is a cell, this is a bulb, and the key is on, key is closed. So this would be the direction of current. Now, so it is not mandatory that key has to be placed here in this position. It can be placed anywhere, okay? One important thing is that the cell should be drawn at appropriately. So you do not end up making both the line of equal size, okay? Because that create confusion. So our question was, why does the bulb glow? When the circuit is complete, so the bulb glow because current is allowed to flow through the wire of the circuit. Now this is the catch here. Allowed to flow means, that means it is also possible that certain materials might not allow electrons to pass through, might not allow the current to flow through them. So we again take the same example, the bridge. What happens when the bridge is broken? If there is no path, obviously the cyclist will not be able to go from one place to another. Now let us say that bridge is not broken, bridge is at it is, but let's say there is some strike because of which people cannot cross the bridge. So the bridge is there, but it is not allowed to move on that bridge. It is not allowed to cycle on that bridge. So in that case also the cyclist will not be able to cross the bridge. But in this case the circuit is closed, but still the bulb would not glow. So this means that there might be some material which not allow current to flow through them. Yes, exactly. It is not necessary that all the materials allow current to pass through them. Then therefore in electric circuit we make use of such materials which allow current to flow through them. For example, we make use of wire, and these wires are made up of metals which allow current to pass through them. Copper wire which allow current to pass through them. So not only copper, most of the metals allow current to pass through them, and therefore the nature of material of the wire is also important factor which decide whether the current can flow through the circuit or not. Let us now talk about yet another interesting fact. Now, since current flow through the circuit, that is why the bulb glows. Now, what is it in the bulb that make it glow? What it is that make it glow, that creates so much of light? So, that important part of the bulb is the filament. So, it is actually a thin wire which glows when current passes through it. So, just try to observe the bulb. So, you will see a wire like this inside the bulb. So, this wire is nothing but the filament, and this filament is made up of a material which when heated produces sufficient light. Now, any metal needs to be heated sufficiently before it start emitting visible light. Now, in that case, we just cannot use any metal to be used as a filament of the bulb, because most of the metal which when we start heating them, they melt after a certain point of time. So therefore, we need to choose a metal which has a very high melting point. So if it has a very high melting point, that means it will melt only at a very high temperature. Right? So therefore, the filament of the bulb is made up of a metal called a tungsten, and the property of tungsten is that property attracted it to make. It has a high melting point. Okay. There is a disadvantage also of the tungsten, that it can catch fire very easily at such a higher temperature in presence of oxygen. So, you know, it is like, since it is able to, it is been heated too much, then if a little bit of oxygen is present, then it will catch fire. And that is why this filament is sealed inside a chamber, and this chamber, a glass chamber which you see outside the bulb. So that is the glass chamber, and it is ensured that this chamber is free of oxygen. Because if a little bit of oxygen also reaches this chamber, then the filament will burst and it will catch fire. Right? So I hope this is clear to you. So whenever you look at the bulb, you know that what is that wire inside the bulb and why is it there. Now what happened in case of a fuse bulb? I am sure now the picture itself, you can see the picture and able to understand what is it. This filament break, okay, due to the broken filament, even though the circuit is complete, the current is flowing through the circuit, but when the current has to flow this filament of the bulb, the path is not complete, and therefore the current is not able to flow, and as a result the bulb doesn't glow. So a bulb is said to be fused when the filament is broken. So that is another important thing. So whenever the bulb in your house is not working, so before you call an electrician to check, first you need to check if the bulb is fine, if the filament of the bulb is proper or not. Okay, because many a time a bulb can fuse, so that you can change the bulb. So this is enough for today, and in the next video we'll discuss this heating effect of electric current. Okay. Thank you, students.